and welcome to VI Voices. I'm Emil Henderson III, along with Clint Ferris, Boyd McFarland, and Yoki Hanley. We are here tonight as we do our primary post-election wrap-up show to talk about all of the results that we had over the weekend, what happened over the weekend, and the issues regarding Tropical Storm Bertha, issues regarding the new machines, some of the people who are a little bit sour about having not won, the surprises about the election. So we're going to talk about that all tonight and hopefully get some ground of where we're going to go as we go into the general election and kind of let you know what we're going to be doing here at VI Voice as we continue to go forward. As we begin tonight, let's begin. First of all, I want to talk and get this out of the way. Former Supervisor of Elections John Abramson apparently is going to or has lodged a complaint relative to the new machines not counting for certain people, the numbers not being correct. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Unofficial is unofficial, and it done.
I feel the same way. And in addition to that, I think the man been there for all these years. We have never heard not one complaint regarding all the discrepancies that were going on over the years. We have never heard a complaint.
Like the 3,000 votes that nobody could find.
And I have never heard not one thing out of this brother mouth. So now all of a sudden, now that he's out of it, he got so much to complain about, to point out discrepancy.
In a matter of quality assurance, maybe I think the board maybe should have put a system in place just to double check these machines. And you know how you check things just to make sure everything is working right.
And I'm sure they did.
Right. Correct. Did. But I believe Mr. Abramson claim may be a bit too hasty. At least let the official count come in. Let's see if there's any discrepancies from there.
But you know what though? But what I find interesting is the fact, at least with these machines, you have a paper trail. So you can match the numbers with every ballot that came in, and if they don't match up, then you know something is wrong. Right.
And maybe
those other machines, we never had that.
Correct. And maybe in this case, maybe Mr. Abramson is playing devil's advocate.
No.
Just to test the system.
In this case, I believe that Mr. Abramson needs to have several seats. Because at the end of the day, when he was there, he allowed Sandra Hansen to run for office when she was on probation. I was precluded by law from doing that. When he was there, the District of St. Thomas and St. John had almost 3,000 votes and nobody could account for.
Not a ward.
Still can't account for.
Not a ward.
When he was there, but at the end of the day, you know, the AG issued that report that they don't even want to disclose, so you know all the discrepancy issues you had when he was there.
Correct.
And he never had an issue with the Shuptronic machine, and even though they won't have a certified, he never had an issue with it.
Correct.
He spoke it. He went before the legislator himself and said that they are certified.
Right. When he knew it was a lie.
Exactly. So, come on.
So I'm not into his complaint. Come with something else. That's my position on that.
Understood.
So enough about him. Now let's go to the election. Let's start first with the gubernatorial election. You know, what were your thoughts on the result? Yoki, you have it. What were your thoughts on the results? Because for me, you know, we live streamed Tuesday night. And again, we want to thank Mr. P at Rebroadcasting for asking us to do so and allowing us to do so. We really had a good time doing that. It was a long night.
Very long night.
I didn't realize we had to talk for like almost 5 hours with no breaks, nonstop. But it was a wonderful night, so thank you, Rebroadcasting and Mr. P for allowing us to do that. But when they sent the first one out, I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, ooh, wait a minute. But then again, this is just the chorus. I'm like, we'll see what happens. But I was very surprised at the results of the gubernatorial race. At the time, the number 2 person was Lush James.
Yes.
And number 1 was Donna.
For the first,
for the first
release.
one we got.
Yes.
And then we got the final unofficial one.
Right.
Is when we saw that Donna was still in the lead. But Lush went down substantially.
Right.
And Atla bumped up to the top, to second place.
Second place, and then from President Lieutenant Governor Gregory Francis, he then moved into third.
I'm surprised that he did so well.
Very surprised
honestly.
at that as well.
But I think that could be attributed to loyal Democrats. Loyal Democrats who vote Democrat and are loyal to
The current administration?
to Lieutenant Governor Greg Francis, and they voted for Lieutenant Governor Greg Francis. And I think that's what they did. So they stuck by
you know what?
him.
You might be right. Loyal to him because that's their friend.
Yes.
Not necessarily the party or necessarily Johnny Young, but that's their friend, so I'm going to give you a vote.
Correct, because remember now, he was instrumental in securing the first election of John D. Young. So I do believe that's who the people who are voting for in terms of that.
It would seem that if you look at the final results, like I said, when we got the first set of unofficial numbers, and let me rephrase what I just said. When you look at the unofficial numbers, the first set was for St. Croix alone, so of course you see Luz up. Now when you look at the unofficial final total, you see he's all the way down. So to me that says that the St. Thomas St. John district ain't vote for him.
Yeah.
You know, it was only St. Croix.
And you know what? So, once again, I guess it'll go up later. I went up online to check, and it still wasn't there. I like seeing precinct by precinct.
Correct.
So we could kind of see like where the numbers came from,
Right.
and even in addition for the territorial races, like where did the numbers come from for each of them?
Right.
But Donna, tell us what the number for the audience who didn't hear us on Saturday. What were the numbers?
So the unofficial results: Donna Christensen, 3,016, which is 35.18%. Adela A. Donnerstog, 2,083, which is 24.30%. Gregory R. Francis, 1,064, which is 12.41%. Marvin Pickering, 912, which is 10.64%. Gerard Luz James II, 835, which is 9.74%. Molito Smith Jr., 650 votes, which is 7.58%. And there were 13 write-ins, which give you a 0.15%.
Okay. So let's talk about these numbers. I think these numbers is what's going to be important as we kind of predict what's going to be happening as we go along. And I've said on this show time and time again that if Donna wants to have a kind of a shoe-in sailing in to the government house, she has to win decisively. That's not a decisive win.
No, I don't think so.
Not 35% of the vote.
No, she got 35% of the entire vote.
I mean, 65% of people didn't vote for you.
Correct.
Now, what's important is to look at the fact that there are 32,000 registered Democrats, right? 9,000 of them voted. I'm sorry, let me see. Yes, about 9,000 voted, right?
Correct.
But she only got a third of the 9,000 that voted.
That's a little. She's gonna have to come really good come November to come.
She's gonna have to work at least get that group.
No, she first have to get
to come to her.
The 65% of the 9,000 that she didn't get. Then she have to work for the rest of her Democratic Party, and then the rest of those independent voters who are out there. So she have to work within her party.
It's an uphill battle to get that done and get that moving. But it just amazes me that 35% of vote. You won, and like I said on the show on Saturday night, in a primary you win by plurality, which means it's just whoever gets the most.
Correct.
In that group is who moved on. So she could have gotten 25%. And if that was the most at the time, then she moves on to it. But it doesn't really speak to what you're coming into an election. Unlike when we get to the senatorial race, when we get to that's people coming in to a race if you're coming in with people. But I just felt that she's gonna have a lot of work to do. She's gonna have to really work on getting the other camps to come in, because unlike the states, national politics, who will just automatically go to who won, we don't do that here. If they didn't like you and they didn't vote for you in the primary, there's nothing you can make them do to vote for you again in the general election.
Correct.
Sorry, but it'll be interesting to see, because I want to see if Luz gonna do the same thing like what he did last election. Because last election when he ran against DeYoung, DeYoung was like Satan's fan. And then when he didn't get in, he was the best thing since sliced bread. So I'm curious to see if he's going to throw all his support behind Donna.
He probably he might, and that's why I was about to say that I don't necessarily think that it's going to be difficult for her to garner the votes from the Democrats. I think that she had a know-how on the subject. I believe. I'm just saying. This is just my opinion and my feeling. I got a feeling that she might do that. She might rally the Democrats around and
Marvin was pitching somebody blows there, boy.
Yeah, he was, but still.
She may
again, the whole party issue. You never know
if they are singing the Kumbaya, then yeah.
No, she will get the endorsement from some of the lead people on those tickets. She will get the tickets consent, but can she get the people who supported these men?
It's one thing for them, the leader, to give it. But we got some strong-willed people around here. We don't care that you do it. You do it if you want. Me doing it. And that's what some people will think. So she's gonna have to really get in the trenches to the people of those camps and try and convince them why they should come along with her.
I think a lot of energy probably has been expended since the primary night to meet with people, to get them over. And this is not the grassroots people who supported these particular candidates. These are the leaders on those tickets, the governors, the gubernatorial aspirants, and the lieutenant governor aspirants. There was a lot of meeting taking place between Saturday and now, just to bring them over.
I'm talking about that.
And then now they still have to do a lot more to get those people. And a lot of times the voters are the supporters are the one who take it personally.
Yes, yes.
So
now I understand that Senator Donna Stork has not conceded.
Right.
yes.
So, what do you think how that's going to be?
I don't think that's going to be so much of an issue, because based on the papers, they said that it's only 500 and something absentee ballots that went out.
Really?
In
But yeah.
St. Croix.
Oh, in St. Croix only?
And
I didn't
see,
see
and
that
It's like
part,
five
but-
something
But
on
it's-
St. Croix, and about it's right here. Let me see.
Oh, it's in there?
It's about 5 something in St. Croix, and
So it's about
But
total
So- on
he's down
St.
by
Croix,
900 and some votes. right?
930.
22.
No, 30. I think 33.
516
On St.
on
Croix.
St. Croix,
Uh-huh.
right?
But it's-
Absentee ballots.
How much on, how much on some?
And on St. Thomas,
Six-
819.
819.
But let me put it to
819
you.
in St.
No,
Thomas.
I have a challenge.
And that's including the walk-ins.
That's including the walk-in.
No, and I have a concern.
That's
See,
1,400 votes.
you see,
That's a lot.
He's only 1,000 behind her.
That's a lot of
No,
votes.
but-
Right on that
So
thousand.
he's right not to concede.
but you see those numbers right there, Emil? Those numbers should have been shared with the public on election night from the election office, because those numbers were hard by 7 o'clock in terms of walk-in
Correct.
votes and absentee votes. That should be a part of the count that is given to the people that night, that the people know how many ballots were mailed out, how many walk-in
Well,
votes.
they can tell you how many ballots were mailed out
But they
way
don't know-
before the
No,
election.
no,
Right, but they
but
don't
at
know how
least
much are
as
valid.
part of the count that we got that evening, we should have been able to know from that night. The electorate of the Virgin Islands should have known upfront. These are how many absentee ballots were mailed out. These are how many people who walked in and voted in the in each district in the VI Board of Elections offices. That should be a part of the standard
That's
numbers
true.
that's given. And I think that's the disservice we continue to the voters. When they don't give enough information, you're compelled that there's some level of mistrust that's in the system. And I'll charge for that.
Yeah, very interesting.
We'll see.
We'll see how that turns out.
But-
he's right not to concede because he's only 1,000 votes behind
Correct.
her, but you got 1,400 votes out there.
Correct. But
So count.
but if you look at
Wednesday, right?
No, but if you look
When it is 10 days after
10
I
days. You have
think
to
by-
wait 10 days.
10 days.
Oh, okay.
And after you have to wait 10 days for them to come in.
Right.
And then after that 10th day, then you have to count.
But if you look at the spread, if he's a math numbers fella, he should have at least conceded. Because the numbers
Now
indicate.
here's why he can't concede. He can't concede because whatever you want to say about him, he's extremely popular.
Yes.
And he was running a social media campaign
Oh, you're
for
right.
people to see how he's doing whatever.
That's
She
right.
didn't really do a social media campaign.
That's right.
And so you can I agree with him not to concede because you might get a bunch of people who come in and they said I'm going to vote for him because I like him. You see what I'm saying?
Like you're saying the numbers, but the numbers showing that 1,400 absentee ballots are still out there.
But the numbers
And he said,
indicate that for out of every 6 votes, she get half.
Right.
That's what you're looking at. Out of every
Well,
6,
do
out of every 7,
but
she
see,
gets 3.
We do know for absentee ballots, it favors incumbents. We do know that. But none of them are incumbents.
Come back.
Right.
But she's a party holder. She's an office holder.
Yeah, she is.
She's
Yes.
an office holder.
She's an office holder. However, he is popular. Not that she is not popular, but he was running a social media campaign.
Correct.
Well, let me see,
And
because I mean,
so-
if she's sitting in the States, to me, I think she may have the advantage.
She's sitting in Washington, D.C.
True. Well, I still think she may
Is
have.
where she's sitting.
I
I'm not saying that,
I
that
heard-
she won't get the votes and that it's kind of, it's not, all I'm saying is that him winning with the 1,400 votes out there is not insurmountable.
Correct.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And so I would understand why he would not concede.
Correct.
Because it's conceivable that he may very well.
And another thing about it is, one of the things
That would be a blow.
correct, but I'm gonna say this.
Serious blow.
But maybe as
So
we
in the event that why?
Go ahead
Sorry.
now. No, you
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say in the event that does that something like that does happen, with him beating Dana out, do you think the race will be? You think it'll be a totally different shift now? with him?
Completely different shift.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a
Completely
completely different
shift.
shift.
It won't be as close.
Correct.
It won't be as close.
So you think that
You mean it'll be a tighter race?
Between-
Than
No.
it will be.
It will not be a tighter race.
No?
It'll be a tighter race with Dana.
Yeah, it's going to be a tighter race with Dana.
so you think that
Dana engenders
Mark
more
gonna go away?
loyalty and more support from the
Yeah,
mass.
we'll skip and
Yeah.
flip. That's right.
Dana
I'm
engenders
serious.
more loyalty.
Why? People are loyal to her.
Yeah.
Yuki? It's usually good. Like,
No, I'm serious. I think, okay, here's why. I like Adla. He's a nice guy. And I like Gito. That's my friend. When you look at the forums,
Who's Gito?
I'm sorry, Angel Torres, right? When you look at the forums, can you imagine what would happen if there was a debate or forum between Adla and Gito, Adla and Angel, and Map
Map
and
and
Potter?
Potter? Slaughter.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, you have a team that is fully entrenched
It would be
in
smarter.
what the political scheme is.
Yeah.
What
Two
the
former
factors,
legislators, a former lieutenant
against
governor.
one that's
Two
relatively
solid
new.
farmers.
You have one on the other side would be Adla, who knows the process just as well, but his running mate who's really a novice to
Correct.
to it. To have to go against someone that's not.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it just will be imbalanced in
No,
my view.
But also, again, the audiences will change also.
Right.
The audiences was a bit more contained in terms of the primary.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas now we have audiences that are going to be bigger, diverse, and some of them are going to be, they're not going to be your friend. They're not going to be friendly crowds. So, and that also says, if you do have a Dana Store tourist ticket and against a Matt Potter ticket, you'll see, again, some
And let's be
people who
fair.
are more comfortable in that setting, and then people who may be uncomfortable in certain
Let's be
settings.
fair. There are at least two other teams, or at least one other that we are sure of.
Which is Mona
which is
Barnes and
Mona
Wendy
Barnes,
Karam.
right?
Correct.
You know,
Barnes,
to
that's
add
right.
into the mix, so
Right.
that it don't look like we signaling them out as if they have no chance. Because
Right.
what would be a shocker is if Mona Barnes come from out of no
Yeah.
place and beat everybody.
Yeah, that would be a shocker.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Because-
then you have Soraya and
Right.
John
and
Cunningham.
John that
Cunningham.
may be in the race.
Okay. Well, that I don't.
Well, I could tell you about that. I said on the show Saturday. I could tell you, if the court says they're allowed to run, this will be the last election that you have
Well,
two
that's
people
what happened.
who that this will ever
No,
be
but
the
my
first
thing-
and the last that would ever happen.
Neil,
like
honestly,
that.
if that happens, if reform comes, then I would hope to see other reforms for the election system attached to that as well. Because I wouldn't just hope that the legislature just reform that part of the process, but look at other areas right now that have been exposed over the last few months in terms of the election system that they need to shore. And I would encourage that, not just a piecemeal attempt to attend to election reform, but a whole broad
Oh, I agree.
broad scope.
We definitely need it from the top to the bottom.
Correct.
Election for reform. We have to have it. I mean, I don't see how we can continue without having broad-based election reform in this territory. That's the only real way for us to get what we need done.
Correct.
And for us people to have a sense of what's what I'm looking for. What's what you just said it?
It's a trust.
Trust in our election system.
But in order for that to happen, people have to come out and vote, because
I agree.
because what I'm seeing on Facebook, which is sort of surprising, but not. A lot of people, especially in the Dana Store camp, upset because he didn't make it, quoting people like the same thing and why they don't make the change. But if nobody is coming out to vote, and if your camp is not, because let me tell you this, honestly, this is how I feel. I feel that there was a sense of cockiness within the Dana Store camp, that they felt that they had it in the bag. So people didn't feel that they had to go out to vote because it was like, okay, he got
never
it.
feel that
I
way.
think
But
you-
why would they?
I
do
think
I don't
that?
know. Like I said, I guess maybe because he spent all that money on movie and all of that there, which to me, as a Democrat, ain't mean nothing.
Okay, I
You
don't
know?
think it was cockiness. No, I think they were complacent and they drank the Kool-Aid.
No, they
I
was
think
cocky.
they drank. No,
They
I
was
think they
cocky.
drank. No, because technically, I don't. The kind of campaign everyone said Mr. Dana Store was gonna run didn't occur. He did not
He did,
run.
he had
No,
a movie, he had a movie,
he made
social
no, but
media and all
he
that
didn't
kind of
talk
thing.
about the issues pertaining to the delegate.
That
never
showed
once.
cockiness.
He never once went after her directly. There was there was never a direct
That's
ad
cockiness, because he figure based on his laurels, and whatever else that there is, that he would be able to make it through. Because when you speak to everybody upset, how come he ain't get through. Did you go out to vote? No. Keep him up quiet.
That's a question. A month in, we were asking, is there an election?
Correct.
And soon
Right,
thereafter,
right.
the only person we see
Was Marvin.
we heard from was Marvin Pickering.
And I'm surprised. I'm surprised that he didn't place higher
Yeah.
because
Right.
he really was running a campaign hitting the issues.
But think about it, he did hit the issues, but if you're talking about the people who came out, you had people who came out for their candidate, but you have the base that was loyal to specific candidate. And maybe and a lot of things that I did not see from the Democratic Party, which was a registration drive. I didn't see any big registration drive to bring out the vote and to register people, especially those persons who were kicked off of the roads. I never see. I did not hear a big.
Something is wrong when you have 32 registered Democrats but only 9,000 show
Sure.
up to vote.
So you're not seeing
That's
that.
a problem.
So
That's
the
about
Democrat.
order.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Cockiness again.
No, but the
So
Democratic Party should have done
Should
the
have.
bring. They may not, they didn't push the candidates, but maybe they should have pushed, bring out the vote,
To come out the vote.
bring out, and they did. And I did not see that from
Well, we
them.
will come back. When we come back, we will talk about the delegates race and see what happened in there. Back in a moment. Good evening and welcome back to VI Voices. We are doing our wrap-up post-primary election show, and we were just finishing up with the gubernatorial race. And Boyd was saying, relative to Greg Francis,
Wait a minute. All I was saying is that it's so surprising how Marvin ran such a flawless, in my opinion, such a flawless campaign and hitting on issues left and right. And here you have Gregory Francis who beat him and beat him so badly. So to me, it just reflects the electorate and how they vote. And the loyalty that people hold, the blind loyalty that people hold and vote
has to be.
towards.
Because
That's
for the
why it
last
was such a
7
bad-
years and 8 months that we've been under this present administration, you lost your jobs,
She got
8%
shut
cuts,
down.
all kind of stuff, whatever.
They-
He should have been Donkey Price.
The
I won't say it was
property
such a
tax, the
because
property
100
tax
Yeah.
issue.
The property tax, yes, he should have been to the bottom. I don't
There was
understand how we
152 votes
voted.
between the two.
Hey,
Still though,
but
that's
you know,
still too
but
many.
if all the voters were Clint Ferris, he would have gotten shellacked. He would have gotten shellacked.
I
You
agree.
wouldn't even get zero.
Right.
No, you would not even get a vote because
Why like his? Can he vote for himself?
yeah,
He has
yeah,
power.
yeah,
8%.
yeah, no, because
The
people,
8%.
yeah, the eight,
No,
no,
that-
the
you start with
8%, the
8%.
property tax, the 0.5% increase in the grocery receipt tax, all of those things. I don't remember when I went to the poll,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well,
and
you
that's
know,
it.
is what it is.
Our vote is right. They're blind. The blind loyal.
Delegates race. Now, let me just say, right? I think this was like the most surprising race of the night. When I first got this thing, right? And I looked at it, I was like, huh? Wait, 52% of the votes? Stacey Plaskett? But I said, oh, but you know what? That's St. Croix. And you remember me saying that in order for her to win, she got to kind of keep it nice steady in St. Thomas.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, we got this. And I saw 50%. I remember I asked Nikki, I said, is this a second one for St. Croix? I was like, no, that's it.
That's
It's
it.
done.
Yeah, that's it. Right.
And then we were confirming it was a it was territorial.
It was
right?
territorial wide. So let us know what the numbers were for the delegates race.
Stacey Plaskett, 4,224 votes, which was 50.40%. Sean Michael Malone, 3,487, which is 41.61%. Emmett Hansen II, 664 votes, which was 7.92%.
On the dog though, I was run first. Then he said that when he
We
was here.
had
so you-
we had 6 write-ins at
He said, you know,
0.07.
that the dog will come from the back. That's
But
what he's
hey,
saying.
but
And the
honestly,
dog was the winner.
but if it looked like
He
this, for those who were saying that Emmett Hansen was in the race to spoil Stacey's bid,
he spoiled a thing.
he spoiled. He was like say he was in the race to spoil Malone's bid
He
because
looks so- he looks
those
so.
644 could have helped him out.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
for real.
right.
You are right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That
That would have, yeah.
that
You
would
are
have
very right.
yeah. So imagine if the spoil he was actually in the race to spoil it, but spoil it on behalf of
the wrong person.
Mr. Senator Malone.
Now, she also ran a big campaign abroad as well, by
Yes.
traveling to the States and all these different things. So I expect that her absenteeism will come in.
Are going to
Are going to
further
kind
shore
of
up
further
on
for her.
But you see, and that's one of the things that even the gubernatorial candidates have to be focused on. They have to at least pack their bags and go to some of these areas on the mainland, DC, the Orlando area, and go and visit.
Tri-state, New York,
Yeah.
New Jersey, Connecticut, those areas where we have a lot of Virgin
I'm
Islands.
gonna tell you, Labor Day is coming up in New York. Even though you may think it's a wrong time to go, you may want to send somebody. May need to go from the campaign even a few days before because it's still a big time down here as
Right,
well.
right.
But go press the flesh in New York, Miami, press the flesh because, as you said, former Senator Donna Stokes ran a social media campaign. A lot of Virgin Islanders are away, working away, but they still vote, and we need to connect with them.
I agree.
We do
I
need
agree,
to
but
connect.
like I
A lot of
said,
them paying attention.
I was
Sometimes even more
very-
attention than people here.
So yeah.
I was very surprised.
No,
I was surprised that they land how far. I thought they would have been a much closer.
about what?
than that, so
I
it
go
shocked
to
me.
800. I go to 800. I found
737.
37. But you see, my thing about it is,
Now there's still 1,400 out
yes,
absentees.
and they could split, but
And it could split
Yeah.
as long as if it splits, she's still gonna win.
correct.
She just can't lose out,
No,
Right.
and it's inconceivable
that she's gonna lose out.
Exactly.
No, but my biggest thing to people, and I met one of Senator Malone's supporters this weekend,
But
and
he's conceded.
he is okay. Yes, I have heard he's conceded. But my thing about it, the race, Senator Malone had a record, and to me, a record that was not favorable, and not just St. Croix, but the working men and women in this community, not government workers, but working men and women. Everything, a lot of the issues, not everything, but a lot of the issues that Senator Malone supported over these 12 years, basically were against the working men and women. These borrowing bills, the increase in the grocery receipt tax, the increase, the reduction in government workers' salary. Consistently, I don't think he exercised leadership, and I was one who called his record into question, and I'm not gonna apologize. He has a record, he's a leader, and then he sat here and he blamed the governor. Said it was the governor was not transparent. The governor forced us to do. No, you were elected to lead in your branch of government. You have the power of your office to check the governor, and the legislature under his leadership, and while he was there for 12 years, never checked any of the chief
Well, you said
executives.
something that was so important because remember Marvin was doing that clip with that senator talking about Donald whatever. I remember the senator said, "It doesn't seem to me that you're a CFO. It seems that you don't have a legislature."
Exactly.
Correct.
And he was basically saying that is who is supposed to check what's happening over there.
Exactly.
And you're right. For these last 7 years, we've had a legislature that was asleep.
Correct.
Either asleep or they were in tandem with the confusion that's going on over there.
And take
in the
one
executive branch.
take note. Senator Malone was in the majority for all of those times. There was never a time Senator Malone was never in the majority.
True.
He was a part of the majority.
Well, this will be interesting. But like I said, I was very surprised. I didn't expect it to be that, such a
big-
landslide.
This particular
kinda.
race gave me hope. Hope to say that at least people are thinking and they are recognizing what some of the issues are, and they actually were able to send a vote of a no vote to Malone through voting the affirmative for Miss Plasky.
Right.
And I like that. We cannot reward Senator Malone with a higher office for his abysmal performance in the legislature. And that's what my opinion is. And I think the voters said that. We will not reward you with that
I
office
hear
in
that.
Washington.
I hear that.
All right, Clint.
All right, Clint, you're on a roll tonight. So I take it that you did not vote for Senator Malone.
Of course not.
I said it. I said it publicly.
Like 6
honestly.
times you did. Yeah.
Thank you.
No pressure. Surprisingly, so I heard people talking about that. I didn't even think about was the fact that he did in fact get more percentages than Donna. His percentages higher.
Yes, are
Percentage is
higher.
higher.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yes, that is very interesting.
So
So, that's
again,
something to
she-
even consider.
And she's gonna have a battle regardless of what.
Yeah.
Come the general, when she faces whomever. It'll be interesting now to see that race kick in, because when we interviewed her, the question I asked her is if she's still for the CFO, should she become governor? She said yes.
She said yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
no. She said yes. But you know the funniest thing about it? That CFO can be an OMB person.
Well, the
That's what,
CFO is the OMB person.
Thank
and
you.
should be the OMB person. I don't understand why we need 2 people.
No, but that I'm just telling you. But that's an easy way out. She may say
what she
yes,
could say yes, but
but
she was
she could,
referring to the
she could
one
tell
thing.
you that
Turn around
I was referring to my
Like OMB,
OMB.
who I gonna put as OMB?
by putting a stronger person in there.
Okay, senatorial, but let's do the St. Thomas St. John first. That'll be quicker. We had Clifford Graham with the #1 vote getter, then Myron Jackson, Jean Ford or Jean Ford, Jenna Millen Young, Justin Harrigan Sr., Donald Cole, Marvin Blyden.
Sean A. Georges.
No, Marvin Blyden is number 7.
Right, that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
7 I got
Sean
over
A.
it. However,
Jordan.
because of the amount of absentee
Absentee.
ballots out over in St. Thomas, you have Sean Jordan and Clarence Payne, who could conceivably, if they get them, bump some people out.
But Sean is what, 300 ahead of Clarence Payne?
No, he's only 93.
And how much is Sean Georges away from Marvin Blyden?
97.
Okay.
No, 57.
Okay. So that's still a close race.
Right.
Because Sean
And
Georges has
they're
some.
only like 100 and something votes from Donald Cole.
Correct. And the thing about it, that's a lot of absentee ballots out.
in mind, that's
And
St.
Sean
Thomas.
Georges
This
does
is St.
have
Thomas.
a
That's it.
online
They're
presence. Yeah, I'm
famous for
saying.
losing ballots, so we got to take that into consideration as well.
Losing
Let's
or
not-
gaining
let's not
ballots, which
forget
one?
that. Losing
Losing
or
ballots.
gaining, either
Maybe
or.
both.
They constantly confuse
But
them
I
over
think-
there, so-
But what I
Because-
find interesting is look at how low the incumbents are. With the exception of Graham and Jackson. Millen Young is number 4. But
And
it's
Donald Cole.
1876. Ain't like a lot of thing. And then you have Donald Cole, who's number 6. Remember last time he skated the last
Yes.
time?
yes.
And so number 6 in his own party, that says to me that you may have some problems come.
They may have some challenges, and it's up to if somebody like a Marvin Blyden steps it up and maybe connect with the voters, and he moves up in the rank. You may find a Donald Cole being pushed out because you do have an independent in Tregenza Roach.
Yes.
He's
only
an
that, you
independent.
Wait,
Well,
no, what's another popular one is
Rika?
Rika. Yeah.
Rika, okay.
Rican is going to get in. Remember, he was
Rika,
number 8.
he ran pretty
Yeah.
close.
And with that 3,000
So-
votes,
Right,
they won't
that-
find.
they couldn't find,
So
exactly.
if it's so, imagine you have, let's say you have Rican and you have Tregenza Roach. So those are two independent.
Those
Strong
are
independent.
2 seats that are going to be there.
Thank you.
right.
So now, so two somebody's gonna be off of that.
And then I think you still get Clifford, you still get Myron.
Yes.
That's 4.
Yeah,
Then I think the John Ford guy
yeah, he has popular
is
support.
probably going to get
Get
in.
in.
That's 5.
And
And
Janet-
Jenna Million is probably going to get in as
Probably
well.
But
So
you're
then
probably
ev-
getting low.
But, right.
But then you have those three at the bottom right there now.
Those three are the
who
ones
fighting
who got
for
the
a
right
seat.
for
Yes.
one seat.
And Justin Harrigan polled higher than Donald Cole and Marvin Blyden. So you may
And even Payne.
What's the
and
difference
Payne, but
between
Payne is
Donald
out.
and Marvin?
Between who and who?
Donald Cole and Marvin Blyden.
135.
Yeah.
So are they, yeah, so you
35
could
votes.
yeah,
But they have 800 votes out.
So
correct. And if some of those people didn't bullet vote, some of these voters are not. Some of the absentee ballot people are not bullet voters.
Right.
you know, I'm curious.
Right.
I'm curious.
They're not.
They're not. They'll probably vote the whole slate.
Because the Tomians are famous for never changing their legislature.
Yeah, this.
No,
yeah,
but
unless somebody
there
retire
was,
or
no,
die.
there was some dissatisfaction with Clarence Payne.
No, but I mean, I'm just wondering, especially with the 3,000 votes that were missing, how much of those votes would have made a different St. Tomian
You know what though? I
legislature?
think last year would have probably been the first time that the St. Thomas would have made, in my view, in recent time, would have been where the St. Thomas would have done something drastic in the thing. Now it's clearly it's not replacing anybody because 40 people left.
Right.
So on their own, nobody kicked them out.
Exactly.
Right? But to put in what would be party establishment,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
on their way there, but for the losing of almost 3,000 votes.
Remember
You know what I'm saying?
in the last election, you had Sean Georges who ran as an independent. I
That was
believe.
pretty close.
Alma Harrigan who ran as an independent. Clarence Payne out of the run as a Democrat and he won under that. But you do have some people that had some appeal they ran independent but never made it on the ticket.
Yeah. All right, St. Croix.
Yes, sir.
Now, I was not necessarily surprised with St. Croix.
Especially Kurt Bailey.
I wasn't.
No.
I knew that Kurt Violet was going to, and Novell was going to be up there. I
Yes.
said that on the show.
Correct.
My opinion, Court, Novell, Kenneth, and Neville. Them they got in.
I
my
agree
opinion.
with you that this 7 doesn't automatically mean that they're gonna all get in?
The top four.
Because
The top four. That's
because they have to go and meet Nelly. They have to go and meet Positive, and if possible, they might have to go and meet Chucky.
And then maybe
All three strong people.
but
Very
but do remember you do have some
And Jamila
Jamaica Russell
Jamila
and
Russell.
Arthur Joseph.
That's right.
Arthur
And you
Joseph,
know,
that's right.
sometimes because you have candidates like that, there's some level they may have voted in the primary for specific candidates, but some of these people may
They'll
restrict their
transcend
vote.
over,
They
right,
may restrict their
right.
vote and bullet vote in the general. So I'm saying that I am definitely seeing. My opinion is the top four is gonna get in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say publicly here that the fight for the last seat, the seventh seat, is gonna be between Samuel Sanes and Nelly O'Reilly.
think so?
Positive is gonna get in securely,
Yeah.
and I believe
Why don't you think Nelly? What do you think
Chuck
Nelly
is
will
gonna-
get in?
I didn't say Chuck Nelly's gonna get in,
Oh, okay.
but I said they're gonna be a stiff competition for
that one
the last seat between Senator Sanes and Senator O'Reilly.
Okay.
I
And who do you
think
think
so.
will
I
be?
agree. I agree with him.
Who do you think will win?
I think Nelly may edge him
I
out.
think Nelly gonna edge him
Nelly-
out, and I
Nelly
believe
may
that
edge
she
him out.
gonna run solo because of the whole Obensa thing too. Let's not forget
Yeah.
that. Remember,
Yes.
she voted in the affirmative.
Correct.
And a lot of people were salty with that.
Correct,
To
but
me, that
Sanes-
tarnished-
Changed her mind, and
But
nobody
remember
knew
now,
why.
Sanes voted in
I'm
the
not to know.
affirmative for that.
Yeah, but
But
she
we don't.
originally said
Sanes
no.
is Sanes,
Yeah,
and everybody don't rate.
But
We
for
don't
her, she
expect
said
it.
no, and then all of a sudden
then
she changed her
turned
mind. Nobody
around
knew
and
why
said
she changed her mind.
Exactly.
Correct.
And to this day, still don't know why.
Yeah. So my thing, you're right. So I do
And
think
two throw was behind her rate about how good she gonna sleep.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you this. But that's what then you also have to say. I do think Arthur Joseph and Jamila Russell are gonna contend in this election.
Yeah.
And it would not surprise me if one of the two doesn't push both Senator Sanes and Senator O'Reilly out. It would not be
People want to see
surprising.
something different. They're
I
tired.
got Jamila going in there for sure.
It would
really
not
got Jamila.
surprise
She ran
me.
what 8 last?
Yes,
2
she
years
was
ago?
very good.
Yeah, she ran a very
She
good
ran-
campaign.
so
last
eight.
time.
No,
And remember, we had the
Nine.
writing.
Nine.
We had the writing issue too.
right,
Remember that?
right, where
Not
she
the
didn't
writing.
count.
Paper ballot.
Right,
Right.
which they didn't count a lot of
Right,
the
they
votes
didn't
that
count them.
would have gone to her.
So my thing to you is you're gonna see a very from 1 to 10 in the St. Croix district. You're gonna see people right there. But I say between number 6 and number 10, those are the seats that are gonna be hotly contested in the St. Croix district.
I agree with
And you
that.
may end up to seeing 2 incumbents out. And if you notice, I did not mention Senator Capehart because my prediction was she was gonna be out in the primary.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking about that, right?
And Malcolm didn't even beat that, man.
Here's what I want to know. But please, let me get some water first.
Come on, I truly want to know what he's gonna say.
How you going to go and tell Senator Capehart that we got to eat crow because we didn't expect she to you won't been there?
I mean, up there don't mean no we mean. What's the
Okay, then we have to eat our words.
Not we.
Yeah,
But because we didn't
But,
say
Adam,
anything.
but typically in a good attorney fashion, you made sure to say not we, but claim.
Yeah, because his
And
client
I-
is who said.
And I took ownership. But you guys gonna come along for the ride?
Well, to bring some balance,
help back.
to bring some balance to this, because when we did do the wrap up, I did say
did
that,
say that,
yeah,
right.
that I
No,
did,
you
and
did
I-
say that.
and I agreed with Clint that I
Yes.
didn't think she would make it. So I'm surprised that she's.
But I'm gonna say this. It's just because of the weather now. I'm telling you, it's the weather. No, I'm not gonna. No, but because think about it. There was 30 votes between her and the next candidate.
Arnold Jr.
And it's indication because I spoke to many persons that indicated to me that because of the weather,
And Wapa.
they did not make the drive to their polling spot.
I ain't buying that.
No, I'm gonna no.
If it had a Juve,
Yeah.
did I find itself
Hey,
in the spot?
you're right.
That's her thing. I don't want to hear nothing from anybody who ain't voted.
No, I understand, but I'm just telling you. I heard several
But some
answers.
Excuses.
Some of them, because I did hear on the radio, you had a lot of them who were calling who had been promised rides and the rides never showed up. So you had that issue.
But see, that's why early voting is important.
And that's what some people
Because
from talking
right.
about.
you know a
Talking
storm
about that,
coming,
right.
and you don't want to come to the storm, people gonna gun it and vote out.
Right.
Exactly.
No, and I'm gonna tell you, Emil, if anything we do, it's make sure we do early voting within the Virgin Islands.
I agree.
That needs
There's
to be
no
taken
reason
care
why
of.
we could not have early voting.
Early
here.
voting.
Would have done away with a lot of
That's
it.
part of the board, right? That's part of the board. which is-
No, but that's for the
No,
but that's for the
they-
board
they-
to
they
agitate
need
and the
quorum.
legislature to change.
They don't want to do anything, so they pack them and go.
They break,
And
exactly.
here's what is even better than we had before with early when we do early voting, absentee voting. Remember when you absentee voted it was paper.
Right.
And then to count the paper and write your number.
Yeah.
Well, in your absentee, you're getting the same ballot,
And
and
just
all of those
stick it in the
tickets and
machine.
slide it in and it's
And it's
counted.
done.
Correct.
So it's not going to take as long as it did before to count
Take a
the
day.
absentee
It's taking that
ballots.
long.
You're still circling it, and you're still putting
Take,
it
not
in.
even, yeah. But see, and if you take it into consideration, this year's primary was set at a very busy time of the year. Very busy time, very busy travel time.
Yeah.
Last time it was in September. This year it was in August. And you think about people leaving and going to Tortola, people leaving going to Antigua for carnival. No, but
Nah.
Emil, but people travel. I know, no,
Meaning
but
them
no,
thing with
no,
no
no,
season,
Emil.
right, to no carnival and nothing.
No, but no, it was a busy time. Last year in 2012, primary was in September.
Yeah.
Because the law was different.
But the law, but I'm telling you, but they need
But
to
they
look
could
at
have
the
made
time.
allowances.
So, but
You need to understand
But
that
that-
voting is important.
No, no, you mean-
and crop
hey.
over, crop under, or wherever you want to go
Spice
to,
mask.
whatever it is, you can deal with that at a later time. Go vote. That's what it takes 8% of your money because people want voting.
But they could have still done absentee ballot.
But that's
They're not
why
gonna
no.
be here.
I was trying to make an argument for early voting, and that's
You know,
why
early
I
voting don't need no argument. Early voting is common. Early voting is common sense.
thank you. And it should be on the ballot, and it should be.
You shouldn't have to make an argument for early voting.
No, that I'm just saying that why we need it
Could
in the
you
district.
imagine that maybe the turnout would have been better if we had early voting?
Yeah.
Because people are planning for this storm, and we ain't really sure. So let me go
So
and
you're
vote
saying,
now.
you're
just
saying
in
that,
case.
you're saying that the
Exactly.
senator would have done better had it been only voting?
No.
Oh, okay. She might have not been in the 7th.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's,
I'm
that's
dif-
what you
eh,
say.
no.
So he would have to cross.
No, I am
I was not crow
defending. No,
anyway.
but I am defending
Was
my
it seasoned
position.
well?
Not at all.
You know
We'd
what?
rather
You
better
know
going
what?
down.
You
I
know
think
what?
we're playing a
It
rat.
may turn out right that y'all be the ones because we still have the ballots out there and the vote. I mean, she's on the edge.
What do you mean you are?
No. I ain't said a thing.
I didn't say anything either.
Like I said, she could still come out.
If we look at back at the tape, you okay? They said something. But we
Yes.
won't
What
bring
did
it
they
up.
say?
Don't worry.
What
But
did they say?
I am man enough to stay my
What
position.
did, no,
I
no.
stated
Let's say
it.
it again. What did they say?
Look at the
They
tape.
said that she would get in.
Exactly.
Okay.
She got in.
And she got in.
But this is, and so that we understand, these are the unofficials.
Right.
Right, and we
True.
still have the absentee ballots. It is too close. She's under 50.
I
Under
agree with
40,
you. I agree.
Just barely over
But
30
remember,
votes.
absentee
Right.
And we
votes
have
favor
500.
incumbents.
Yeah.
They do.
You know, but
Because that's the name that they recognize when they see it.
I don't know.
And
And
that's-
unless and when you're not here, and let's presume for absentee votes, you have some people who couldn't be here, who live here, so they know the scheme, and then there are those who don't live here,
Right.
and so they would not have gone to Paul Arnold's opening or to hear Paul come and talk to them or ever talk to them, whatever. But who they know is an incumbent, and what they do is vote for the incumbent.
Right.
And so since it favors her, she may, I just think that he would have to have really done a real hard campaign out there to encourage people to vote for him, for him to surpass her.
He was invited
steady.
to VI Voices?
Yeah. He had a conflict.
Yes, but he had conflict and couldn't make it. So, anyway, we'll be back in a moment with some more on the election wrap up. Back in a moment. Welcome back to VI Voices, and as we said before, we are doing our wrap-up of the primary election for 2014, and we were talking about some of the other people who are here. We have Paul Arnold Jr., who is flip-flopping kinda for the seat with Diane Capehart, seat number 7. We had Colin Hodge, Troy Mason, followed by Carol Burke, then George Moore, Omar Henry, and then Eugene Lecomanier, Sweetie.
No. And that's why he didn't make it. Okay, good.
Okay,
And he was pretty salty about that too. I mean, he
No,
made it
she
public,
was
you know.
salty.
I'm speaking about the good brother.
Oh, he was
Eugene.
salty about coming in Donkey Price?
That's right, because
Oh.
Donkey Price.
That's what
I
it
saw him. I
was.
saw him on
Dead last.
I know what Donkey Price is.
That's what Donkey Price. Oh, okay. I'll make sure you do. Okay.
I saw something he wrote on Facebook regarding the popularity thing, and I hope the people get, they know what they're getting themselves into, and he wish everybody well. But this is just a whole big popularity thing.
He
And
sounds bitter.
Sour grapes. Give you vinegar.
Well, I don't like people like that.
At all.
I don't mind you being disappointed that you didn't win, but don't be salty with it.
Do you think it's salty?
It is
Yes.
salty. If you say it in that way.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you say it
but
in
I
that
just
way.
paraphrasing.
Marvin
Just paraphrasing, I
Pickering
don't know
was
exactly.
disappointed he didn't get in. But did you hear him carry on
No,
like
I
that?
didn't read anything he wrote.
I heard on the radio.
He didn't sound
And he
like...
said he was disappointed,
Yes.
and that he hoped that people would go in a different direction, but the people have spoken, and
that's it.
And that's how you
And
do
it done.
it.
Right.
And it
Yeah, you're
done.
right. The people have spoken.
Correct.
Some people like punishment.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's
he
why
can
they can't
surprisingly,
agree.
as low as he ran, like you said, donkey price. That surprised me. I thought he'd have been up a little
I
bit
did.
more.
That didn't
Even-
surprise me.
Yeah, man.
Lakabane?
No, that
No,
didn't
man.
surprise
You
me.
would've.
I'm
No.
surprised he got as much as he did.
No.
I'm shocked that Carol didn't make it up.
In fact,
Yeah.
he didn't run better than that. 2 years ago, I think he did better than that.
Well, no, because they didn't have a primary
No, they never
Oh, okay.
the
primary.
last
All
time. So they went through the general. But yes, Carol Berg, I was a
Yeah.
little surprised.
I'm surprised Carol didn't do better.
That she was that low, being that
Yeah.
she has that experience, she had
Correct.
been there before, and maybe it's because the electorate today doesn't know her.
Right.
And that may be the thing.
And
But she
so,
went right. She went
but
a long
you know what,
stretch,
though?
without.
She
after-
started late in her campaigning because her mom was sick, and
And she
so she
passed.
really didn't start. So if she had started earlier and had more time to really get to people, maybe she would have had much more. But she kind of started late,
But
and
is
that might
that-
be what played a role into it.
But it's mom passed and then her dad was sick.
Yeah.
And then her dad was sick, yeah. So, maybe she didn't have enough time to really devote to the campaign like one would. But I would hope that she would try again.
But let's say this.
I'm sure she
again,
will.
I continue to be disappointed in the Democratic Party apparatus, especially from the loyal Democrats. No, the people who keep saying that they are loyal Democrats.
Right,
That's a loyal
Carol
man.
is the national committee woman,
Yeah, that's
the
that's
highest ranking Democrat in the territory.
Yeah.
And how can she not garner
She ain't
a
tired yet
thousand?
lose.
Thank
I
you.
understand how she was still in that party.
Thank you. A thousand.
I'm gonna let
votes.
you. I don't understand how she was still in that
Yes.
party. She tired get blues to the
And-
people.
Yeah.
And she means she ain't leaving her
Party,
party.
and that's it. So I continue to say, and this I know, but if you talk about something that I was disappointed in, it's about Amina Salim. If we're talking about the party, because Amina,
yeah.
and you talk about bringing new life to the party and rebranding this party.
Yeah.
Because this party isn't about the ideals and the members that they keep talking about. It's
Right.
about everything else.
Right.
And it's about selfish gain. It's about all of that. And because if
Which is not the party.
correct, and if this party was about the ideas, the push and advance at the convention nationally and every 4 years that I run for governor, Carol Burke would have been one of those persons
Of the
we would have
top.
been talking about.
I agree. I agree with that.
But if you look at the state chairman race, I mean, it wasn't like a landslide victory for Cecil.
But Cecil won.
I
But it's the
understand that he
same-
won.
It's the same people. It's the
Think
same
about
It's the
thing.
same people.
Everybody else, all the old people ran poll higher than the new voice in terms of Amina Salim. And she was a voice for transformation. And if you hear me talk, through the rest of the campaign, you can hear me talk about transformation.
And again-
because we need to
But what's
transform
going to be
government.
important though is to see whether or not she will continue on her quest for transformation.
Yeah.
Engage a lot of us to come back to meetings, do all these different
So
things
that
so
they
that we
can
can make a
change
change in the next 2 years.
And I hope
Because
she does stick
we
with
have
it.
a new titular head. And hopefully the new titular head is not going to run that party the way that the one we have now.
They may
right?
get a new titular head.
Who will it be? Who will it be?
The governor.
The governor
No,
titular head.
no.
Oh.
She becomes, once she gets the nomination, she becomes the titular head.
Who,
Donna
Yeah.
Christensen.
correct. Okay, you're
Whether
right.
she wins or loses.
You're right. Oh, you're right.
So she will then become the titular head because she's ran for the highest office, whether she won or not.
True.
And then that's how she becomes it.
Okay.
And
So
so we
let's
have a
see.
new one. And so that's why the advent of a new person with an Amina Salim would have really rebranded that
Correct.
party.
But let's see if Miss Salim can work through her new Democratic Women's Club and really grow that body
Yeah.
and do some stuff to really to work and bring about new life in the party.
Yeah. Now you have
Off
Colin
topic.
Hodge.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, finish with Colin.
Colin Hodge here in the Dubai giving 8th. No, not 9th, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But 918 votes, like almost 400 something votes behind of Paul.
But I want to
so
tell you,
it's unlikely
I
that
think-
he is going to surpass anybody.
I think in
Colin-
2 years he will do a lot
Yeah,
better.
Colin is an intelligent
Yeah.
candidate.
If he kind of reduces that arrogance.
And I think he will.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he will.
Because
Because this is,
people
remember,
have- people
yeah, because
have-
this
you
is
know,
his
people
first time.
have
you
to
know.
feel
And people could be who they
comfortable
want,
with you.
who you want him to be until they get what
yeah.
they want.
Yeah, people have to be comfortable
So-
with you.
He has some wonderful ideas. I like some of his
I
ideas.
hope that somebody who would make it in would talk with him
Yeah.
and use some of his ideas.
Again,
Correct.
if he's a part of the
No.
Democratic Party, so
No, but
maybe
I-
Yeah,
perhaps
but
they
people
could
don't act
clarify
like
that
that.
wrong.
That's
They don't
providing-
leave and hold on to this stuff and they want to talk to nobody. That's what
No, no.
the move.
And let's give a good example. People, I'm going to throw some local politics in here, and people may not like me when I say this. People remark about how the tourism commissioner and the former assistant tourism commissioner were doing a wonderful job for the Virgin Islands. But I thought
Santana
they were doing a poor job because the only thing they did was whole serve. There was no new innovation. Every time something new came up, they latched onto it. Like Pressure Bus Pipe come up with this VI Nice, they scrambled to do a VI Nice campaign. It's not that they had a set campaign already
Nothing
and plugged it
innovative about them.
and plugged it in.
By them.
Yeah, there was no new innovations. There were no grant monies being distributed to the destinations within the destination to help them grow the capacity. They just did what they did.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hart, I was going to say that Mr. Hart may be one of those people that whomever becomes governor may want to tap and say, maybe you need to sit and be active in tourism. Be a part, because he has some wonderful ideas
Well,
for
I
tourism.
agree with you on that.
True.
That I agree with. Now you were saying to go off topic.
Oh yeah, the off topic was about in the event that MAP getting being independent, and then we have this majority Democrat senators. You think? Okay,
I
not
don't
if you
think
get
this
in,
is
but
the
you think that the
same.
Democrats would support or throw or rally around behind Dana in support for her getting this
The who?
the Democrats, the
You're making
senators.
an assumption that we're going to have a Democratic majority in the Senate.
No, I'm
No,
not
no.
making an assumption. I'm asking if these Democrats here who got it, you think they're gonna rally around
They should. It's
or support
They're
Dana?
supposed
But
to.
they
during this
should.
race?
They're
Because that's
supposed
their
to.
I mean, they
party.
should, but
Exactly.
historically speaking, we don't necessarily do that.
People
the Democrats.
say
No,
do
the
things.
Every-
people, the voters, but as a bloc, because I have noticed the last couple of
I
times.
can't guarantee as a black they'll
No,
do
no.
that.
Actually, the senators historically in St. Croix, they have been jaded. The last time that the senators they got together in 2002, and they got Turnbull re-elected. Remember that at the time, Michael Turlan was one of the seven.
Oh, yeah,
Ronnie
yeah,
Russell, Juan Figueroa Civil. That was his first time running. They ran as a team. They ran as a team, endorsed the ticket, and at the end of the day, the party only latched on to the governor and a select few of the senators.
Right.
So they basically, after that particular time in
Said that's it.
2002,
You never
they
said
just
that.
did their own thing. Yes, they continue to wear the Democratic coat of arms, but they just go it alone, and they've been going it alone for the last 12. Because it also goes back, and Governor Turnbull did it twice, 2002 and 2004. Because 2004 he stood in Grove Place. He never, and he didn't say, send me the 7 Democratic senators. Do you know what he said?
Send me your best.
Send me the 7 best.
Right? Yep, that he did.
And Governor Turnbull was lame duck at that time because he
So
wasn't up for re-election,
he
but he
hamstring them.
didn't endorse his own Democratic ticket.
Yep.
So you don't
Yeah.
think that would be a shift right there, sir, with Dana?
If what?
And a boost. If those 4 the 4. It's 4 of them, right?
7.
Or
Seven.
7.
I don't see
Those
them doing
7
it.
rally around
I
that.
don't see them doing it.
No, she
I don't see them doing it because a lot of these people who are in this top 4 here are there because they have appealed to an audience or an electorate who does not trust the Democratic Party and that administration.
And you already heard Kurt, because that's the one question I asked him as well Saturday. So since we have now the 7 from the Senate Democratic,
You
are
do
you
get a
now going to
majority.
go right?
You
Are
do.
you now going to go and move forward as a party with a platform? And he said, his question roughly was no, because he has his things and he's really for St. Croix.
And he
wants
said
to push
he is
forward.
more interested in a St. Croix
Croix,
majority.
exactly, than a
And he
Democratic.
seems sincere about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
To move our issues forward.
Right.
exactly.
And of course, this year we will have a Crucian governor, a Crucian Senate president,
Either which way,
and so
So we want no balling,
So one of
Bad.
confusion.
No,
There's
but-
no reason we should not be behind anything.
No, but
when this is going
correct,
forward.
and that's
for real, I just realized that no matter what,
And a
we
cru-
will have
and a
a
crucial
crucial
delegate.
governor.
But
Yes.
remember, and that at the end of the day, we want, and we know, and I continue to say this, a strong St. Croix, economically,
It's a strong Virgin
is a
Island.
strong
Yes.
Virgin Island.
I agree.
And that's it.
Well, you've heard us. We've had our roundup on the primary election 2014. We know who are moving forward, Moving forward in the gubernatorial race right now is Donna Christensen and Basil Otley. Moving on in the delegates race is Stacey Plaskett. Who's Susan Plaskett? Stacey Plaskett. In senatorial.
Kurt Novell, Kenny Gittins, Neville James, Samuel Senes, Malcolm McGregor, and maybe
either Diane Capehart or Paul Arnold. They're moving forward. And so, as we said to you, it is very important that your vote counts. I mean, this is any example of what happened this last weekend of how important a vote is. Understand, people came out during a tropical storm to vote. And you have two individuals who are just 30 votes between each other. That's what we talk about when we say make your vote count. That's what we talk about here when we say your vote is important. And so be sure to continue questioning as we go on to the general election, because it's not over. And we have to make sure that when we make our votes, or when we cast our votes in November, we are casting our votes for individuals who are genuinely going to want to push forward a better version of Islands, and for us here at Better St. Croix. And so be sure to remain informed and educated on all of the issues. Do not be sidetracked by a bunch of nonsense. Be sure to question them, question those people who want your votes, and those who don't want to answer your questions are people who don't want your vote. So remember, your voices are important, so make them be heard. Good night, everybody.